I'm a coach at FIU. I receive 40 emails a day. Honestly, this podcast is for the guys that want to get recruited to college teams. They have to think differently.
What tips do you have for a player before they're going to a camp, to show up to the camp and to get noticed?
I personally go to all the games of MLS Next. I go to the games. I went to Atalanta, which is the best academy in Italy by far. I got a bad injury. I was able to sign contract with my team, Cesena, for second division, and the team got bankrupt. And I was the only player in the roster of the national team that played for a second division team. It was only like Inter Milan, Atalanta, Juventus, AC Milan.
How did the national team find you if you were playing second division?
Yeah, that's a good question.
But how did you stay humble?
100%. I always thought I was going to be a professional player.
There's a lot of players that go through injuries. What was your injury process?
Yeah, I thought it was the end of the world, to be honest. Mentally, it was like, because I also got surgery and didn't help. Like, I struggled a lot mentally in that time.
How do you get from that position to FIU?
Sometimes the coaches don't respond. Relationships with the players, it's so underrated. There is nothing like this. There is nothing like this. It's really like unbelievable. And even for me that I played for Italian national team Atalanta, coming to FIU, going to University of San Diego, like, it was a dream.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Select Generation podcast. Today we've got a very special guest, Matteo Gasperoni, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. He's the assistant coach currently at FIU. He had a really successful playing career, played for the Italian youth national team growing up, had a really successful youth career playing over there, and then obviously he's come to the US to play college. He played at FIU for a couple of years. He also played in San Diego for a year, and then he's got some coaching experience after his playing career that we're excited to talk about. I just wanted to touch on a message I got from a lad called David. So yesterday, less than 24 hours ago, we released a podcast with Dario, and he's already listened to all of it. And he sent me a message saying he really enjoyed the topic that we were speaking about, networking in football. So when you're going to these events, showcases, when you're even playing other teams, being positive, having a smile on your face, being curious, asking questions, like, people always talk about like networking and how important it is, but you don't really understand at a young age. So just being a good person, smiling, that was a good topic that we spoke about with Dario. And David, that was a really nice message I got from you. So I appreciate that. If anyone has, I always say this at the start, if anyone has any like topics that they want to talk about, by the time this podcast get released, we probably won't have 1 million subscribers, so you can still DM me and I'll see the message. Yeah, without further ado, Matteo, appreciate your time today.
No, Sam, thank you for having me here today.
Yeah, I appreciate it. So yeah, touched a little bit there about your sort of football experience. If someone is asking, who is Matteo, what's his story? Who are you? What's your story in football?
Yeah, my story is actually pretty interesting because I was a very high level in Italy. Grew up playing for Cesena, which is a very good academy. I'm from Cesena, so it was a pleasure for me to grow up and play for the team where I was born and raised. There was a special case because all my teammates were from other parts of Italy. So I was the captain for the team until the U17. And then I went to Atalanta, which is the best academy in Italy by far. One of the best clubs as well now, also in the first team. They're having a lot of success in the recent years. After 2 fantastic years in Bergamo, Atalanta, I got a bad injury. I got growing pain for 1.5 years. Couldn't really solve the problem. Got surgery, didn't help. So I struggled a lot in those like 6-7 months where I couldn't play. And then after the surgery, other like 3-4 months where I was not able to play. I was not recovering well. So even mentally it was tough. I was able to sign a contract with my team, Cesena, for second division, and the team went bankrupt after like 2 months. So I lost my contract. I was not playing for 1.5 years. Nobody really cared about me anymore. So I had to restart from the bottom, 4th division, and then I decided just to move to United States when the offer came. So interesting story, but then I think it was the best choice for me to come here in Miami because it opened my mind so much. I learned a new language, 2 new languages actually, because now I can speak Spanish as well. And, America is amazing. So I'm very, very happy in the unfortunate events that I had, I was good and was lucky to find these new opportunities, and now I'm here.
Yeah, right. Awesome. That's cool. So for someone that's listening to this that doesn't really understand the level that you were playing in Italy, like you were playing at the top level, for someone from the US that's thinking, oh, he played for Atlanta Academy, That's cool. Like, can you explain to us like the level that you were playing at in
Yeah.
Italy?
Absolutely. No, Atalanta is the best academy in Italy with obviously Inter Milan, Juventus. But I would say I would compare that level to a top D1, but you are younger. You are U19, all right? But still, I think if a good D1 play against that Primavera, it's called U19, it would be like tough match.
So why is so when you say it was a top level, what makes youth Italian football top level? Because obviously, like you think about England, like big, strong, physical.
Yeah.
You think about Spain, like tactical.
Yeah.
Italy, maybe defensive plays or tactical. What is like Italian football about?
Yeah, Italians were famous for our defensive phase, but it's all about like technical abilities, like being able to move the ball fast. It's all about like reduce the time when you have the ball. You think in like 1 second instead of 3 seconds. So that's the difference between the levels. In a top academy like Atalanta, you need to think in 1 second. You need to receive the ball, already know where the ball belongs, where to pass the ball. Then if you go to a lower academy, maybe you play against teams that give you more time to think. So I would say like the speed of the ball, the thinking time, like how much time you have to think, and your tactical abilities, where I include also the defensive phase for sure.
So you mentioned that you got transferred to Atlanta.
Yeah.
Was that because they saw you play and they liked you?
Yeah.
Did you go to one of their camps? Like, how did you get recruited?
Yeah. So I was already in the national team by that time. I was the only player from a second division club because I was in Cesena. Cesena was a second division team, and I was the only player in the roster of the national team that played for a second division team. It was only like Inter Milan, Atalanta, Juventus, AC Milan. And I was like honored to be there. I was also starting all the games because I was doing exactly what the coach was asking me to do. The coach really appreciated me, so I had 2 amazing years with the national team. So I had a name already a little bit. I was the captain of Cesena and started for the national team. So Atalanta basically found the right timing to buy my rights from Cesena. Cesena had years where it struggled like financially. And in 2000, when I left, it was 2015, the end of 2015. They couldn't even they had to sell me for a good price. They pay a lot. Atalanta paid a lot for me to enroll to register the team to the second division. So I left Cesena the last day of the market. It was the 31st of August.
And how old were you at that time?
I was 2015. I was 17. Wow. Almost 17 because I'm September 98.
How did the national team find you if you were playing second division?
Yeah, that's a good question. National team had they don't only check the first divisions. They go to all the academies and see who's the best players, and also they do camps. They do big camps where they have like 60,
you send the best
70,
players
yes,
and they identify.
Maybe they have like 60, 70 players, and then they reduce it to 20, which is the final roster, 25. And so I think I showcased myself starting from.
So how was that? Because if you're like 15, 16, 17 years old playing for the national team, getting a big transfer, did you think that you were going to be a professional footballer? Did you have a big ego? Like, how did you stay humble?
100%. I always thought I was going to be a professional player. I never had a big ego. Probably did this. I think if I had a bigger ego, maybe it would have helped me more. I see like Yamal right now, 17 years old. He has a big personality, big ego. He's not scared of anything, which helps at that age. I'm always being more thoughtful. I was feeling pressure during the game. I was always I would say not an overthinker, but like a guy that feels the situation.
So do you think that was because you were playing second division and the guys in the youth national team were playing for these big academies, so also, you felt like you had to impress?
Also, but I know I knew that in the national team it was all about performing every single day. So basically every single practice I had, it was a possibility for me to be called even the next time. So maybe you have a game, they call you and they say, okay, we have 3 practice, we go to Rome, we have 3 practice and 1 friendly match against France, example. You have 4 days to impress the coach, because if not, the next time they don't call you anymore. It's very selective. Obviously, like national team, the best players in Italy, and Italy is like good level soccer.
Did you feel like there was a big jump in level between you and the other guys, or did you feel like you were at the
No,
level?
I thought I was at the same level. That's why I also went to Atalanta the year after, because I thought I was at a high level, and I could play with the best guys in Italy at that time.
So when you're going into these environments, right? Like there's players in the podcast. Most people listening to this are probably from the US, so they're thinking like, okay, I'm going to go on trial at like MLS Academy. It's going to be a good level, but I think I can hang. When you're going into these environments, what makes players reach that level? Like, are they big, strong, physical? Are they just 2 steps ahead tactically? Is it their IQ? Is it the way they carry themselves? Like, to reach that level as a footballer, what do you need to be good at?
It's a combination of everything, man. Like, literally, really technical ability for me is the first thing. They don't bring you to the national team if you cannot like control, pass the ball, if you don't like, make something happen on the ball. So first the technical ability, and then your IQ and physical ability for sure. And Italian national team was like, they require a lot of, we were playing 4-4-2, very technical like setting. So I got appreciated a lot because of my intelligence, That's why for me I was always playing, because I was like applying what the coach was asking me to do, like tactically. So I got appreciated mostly for that in that time, And obviously we had guys that were big, strong, guys that were fast, guys that were technical.
The coach needed to do in the
but
system.
Me, I was like the soldier. I was like applying what the coach was saying. So tactically, even at 16, I was already mature enough to understand what the coach required me. So for the coach, like, couldn't play without me on the field, because I was always aware of the situation, defensively, offensively. I was covering for everyone,
Do you think that came? Do you think you were born with that? Do you think you got coached that way? Like, why did you have that and other players don't have that?
Yeah, for sure. Like, that's something I always had inside me. But also the coaches I had in my academy, they were always like very big on tactics since when I was young, which I think is good and bad. I think when you are younger, you should focus more on your technical ability, and then the tactic comes like a little bit later. But since I was coached like with tactics since I was 12, 13, I already like knew like all the aspect of the game. I think that helped me in that moment,
Yeah,
to perform at a high level and in a difficult like environment since when I was 15, 16.
Because someone might be listening to this and they might be thinking, wow, like I'm in the US and my coach doesn't really do tactics. We just go to practice and we're playing. How were your sessions when you were a kid?
No, there was a lot of tactics already. There was a lot of tactics.
What is that? When you say you talk about tactics, like what does a tactical session look like?
So for example, 11v0, we do a lot of like just our team, and the coach put like 11 mannequins, and we just move without the ball, to see like when the ball goes there, how do we move as a team, how we double down, how we cover for each other. Only like sometimes we were doing work for center backs, and maybe the center mid, we were playing 4-3-3 in Cesena, and I remember it was the 6, in front of the defense. Sometimes we had session where the coach was taking us 4 plus me, and it was just like moving like off the ball, off the ball, like communicating and make chemistry like just off the ball, without having the ball. So sometimes it was even boring, to be honest with you. But it was important to be at a high level in that moment,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No, I totally agree. And then, so what age were you when you got injured?
I got injured when I was, it was the second year of Primavera, so 2016, 17, I was almost 18.
Okay. And then how was that process like? I'm sure maybe you felt like it was the end of the world. Maybe you were positive about it. There's a lot of players that go through injuries. What was your injury process?
Yeah, it was. I thought it was the end of the world, to be honest. Mentally, it was like, because I also got surgery and didn't help. Like I struggled a lot mentally in that time. But I think it's very important for players to think that there is always like a future. Like at that moment you think, oh, I'm done, but you're actually not. I got a couple of like unlucky events. The surgery didn't help. Then I signed for Cesena in second division. The club went bankrupt. So I got like a little bit unlucky, to be honest. But I think if, for example, Cesena didn't go bankrupt, I had a second chance to go pro again,
So how did you recover from the injury? Because a player listening to this that might have done their knee, they
Yeah.
might have back problems,
Yeah.
they might have, and then they're seeing your story. Like you were
Yeah.
playing youth national team, you
Yeah.
got injured, you still played Division 1
Yeah.
soccer. Now you're coaching in the
Yeah.
NCAA. A lot of people would see it's a successful career. How did you get over your injury?
Yeah. Look, how I go over my injury is like knowing my body more. So get more experienced and like manage my body exactly like the way I was doing, for example, in FIU when I was playing. I was doing every day work before practice and after practice, specifically for me. Some guys were doing were looking at me and saying, what are you doing? Like, this is like kind of weird. Like, we never saw this exercise. But, when you have an experience of like seeing doctors, physicians, you grasp like from everyone, like, oh, I did this and it helped me. So I keep doing that. I did that doctor told me to do that. It didn't help me. I didn't feel good. I don't do that anymore. So it was a long process because I've seen so many doctors, so many physicians and stuff. But at the end, I was able to understand why my body was suffering from my growing pain, So I was doing, for example, always ice bath every day after practice, 10 minutes. I couldn't do it without it. I was doing always stretching on the wall in a specific way. I was always reinforcing my adductor. I was always reinforcing my lower abs. So it's all about, it's tough because when you are that young and be required to know your body that way, like it's something that usually like when you're 25, 26, when you start to be older. But for me, I had to speed up that process because if not, I would have stopped playing soccer completely,
But how did that motivation come from within? Because there is a lot of 16, 17, 18-year-olds that would be like, I can't be bothered to do the legs, I can't be bothered to do the hips, I'm just going to play video games. And
yeah, you have to have a dream, You have to have a dream inside you. You have to have motivation, intrinsic motivation. I was, like, for me, coming to FIU was my second dream, my second chance of using soccer to become what I wanted to be, So the first chance in Italy didn't go. Okay, I have a second chance. I cannot miss this one, And so I did. I remember the month before coming to FIU, like crazy amount of hours preparing myself physically to don't have this pain, to be like ready for college soccer, And yeah, man, a lot of hours of work. A lot.
So you get injured. You're trying to break into football. The club goes bankrupt. How do you get from that position to FIU?
Yeah, so I had like 2 or 3 years where I was playing 4th division, 5th division in Italy. And then when someone, like an agent texted me, like I didn't even know about college soccer. I didn't know what it was. Zero. So I remember COVID hit and this guy texted me. And at the beginning I'm like, I don't know what it is. I don't want to go there. And then after 1-2 months I started thinking, like, this is a good opportunity, I started looking online to see what it really is. And I understood that it was huge opportunity. So that was my process. And like 4th, 5th division in Italy, it's not worth it. It's if you have another job in Italy and you want to play, it's still good. They can pay you decent money, but it's not as
it's not a career.
No, it's not a career. And like the offer for a scholarship in a top school like FIU or San Diego where I played, it's a completely different level. So for me, it was a step up in my career at that time,
So an agent messaged you. Did they find you on Instagram?
Yes.
Did they find you?
They found me on Instagram. They said, look, I'm an agent that I work only with like quality players. I don't do numbers, like big numbers. I just work on like 7-8 players every year. And I saw your profile. I think you are a perfect fit for college soccer because you played at Atalanta national team. We have tons of videos of you. And I know that you're not playing at a lower level, but this is a very good opportunity for you.
How did he find you?
I don't know, on Instagram.
Really?
Like on Instagram. He texted me on Instagram. I remember like finding in the request chat and I was like, what is this? I didn't even respond the first month. And then everything started from there, man.
So how did you get convinced to come to the US? You said you did a little bit of research.
Yes.
So you were studying in Italy at the time, right? You were doing your bachelor's.
Correct.
So how do you go from that to FIU? Like, were you talking to the agent like, hey, I'm really interested in the opportunity, can you explain me more? Then he was explaining and then you realized?
Yes. So that agent, actually, we started all the process. He made the video for me. He created a list of teams that wanted me. I had like 20 25 top D1, even like 10, like we'll say 7 8, they were full scholarship offers. But for me it was very important, like where I wanted like to go. And I wanted to go in a university that offered the master's degree I wanted to do, which is industrial and organizational psychology. So I did my bachelor in psychology, and I wanted to do a master in IO psychology. It was a very specific program I wanted to study, and that was not offered in a lot of schools. Plus, for me, important was the location. Obviously, like every kid wants to come to Florida, California, New York.
Yeah.
So for me, it was one of those three.
Yeah.
And so I saw FIU had that program, and it was in Miami. Good school, good team, everything was perfect. But in my list, FIU was not there. My agent didn't have the contact of the coaches. So what I did is I switched to another agency. And because I found that agency had the contact of FIU, you know? So I saw that agency sent another player to FIU before me, right? So I said, look, I want to go to FIU. You have the contact? Yes, we do. Perfect. Put me in contact, and then...
Why didn't you just email off the website?
Because sometimes the coaches don't respond. I'm a coach at FIU. I receive 40 emails a day. Yeah. I cannot look at any single one. I'm gonna be honest. Like I have to skip a lot of them.
So you're going to FIU, and then you have all of these offers, and then you're trying to pick with FIU. Why did you ever think about like not choosing that specific major, or that was the most important thing to you?
For me, that was a very important thing. Like I would say, the most important thing for me. Yeah. So, but also the soccer level was very important. You know. So I had to mix the two things.
So when you came to the US, were you thinking about, okay, I'm going to go to the US, I'm going to go on a full scholarship, get a master's, and then I want to go back to Italy? Were you thinking I'm going to go to the US to try and get drafted and be a pro? Were you thinking I'm just going to go to the US, have a lifestyle change, explore, have fun? Like, what was the motivating factors?
Motivation was school, get a master's degree, start working in the US. I knew I wanted to stay in the US even before, imagine. Even if I was never in Miami, I went to US one time only for a week before that on New York in vacation, and that's it. But I knew that in the US I had more jobs opportunities. I had this feeling, and so my goal was, okay, I'm going there, study, get my master's degree, and find a job. But then, like when I arrived here and I saw the level, and I had a very, very good first year, my mind changed. I said, I want to go pro in the US. So it was like a mix between like, if I don't go pro, I go find a job. So but the mentality before to come here was mostly like school and jobs.
And then how did soccer come into that? Like, did you come, you didn't care about soccer, or you still care about soccer?
No, I cared a lot. It was very important for me here at FIU. And then like, honestly, when I arrived here and I saw the level of my teammates, of the coaches, of the D1, I saw like that it was possible to go pro. I said, okay, let's do it.
It's interesting because I talked to Matthias before, and he was telling me, because like when I was trying to transfer, I had like one option, and that was it. But that's because I didn't have a resume like you guys. Like you and Matthias, you could have probably handpicked exactly where you wanted to go. Yeah. So it's interesting. Kind of a lot of schools or a lot of players listening to this will be like, damn, that guy had a list of 25 schools to go to, and I can't even get a D3 or a JUCO to reply to me. Yeah. But that's because of your level. Like you really need to understand how important your resume is.
100%.
And then also, when you're going to the play at the Division 1 level, from your experience, right, there's players listening to this that will be like, wow, like he was in the, like, because a lot of players think they have to leave the US to go to Europe to become pro, but there's a lot of players from Europe that are coming to the US also to go pro. Yeah. So from your experience playing for the Italian youth national team, for playing at a top level in Italy, the best level, how did that compare to D1? Like, how do you compare the two levels?
No, man. Like honestly, I was surprised by the level in D1. I think it's for example, for Italian divisions, I will compare to a high 4th division, which is a very high level, man. I'm telling you, 3rd division is pro level, and there are top players. Like they make good money. 4th division, very good level, and there is a like difference between the bottom of the 4th division and the top. I would compare like FIU to a very good 4th division. Okay, but what I like my case, you were saying like 20, 25 teams. My case was special, man. Like honestly, that this podcast is for the guys that they wanna get drafted, they wanna get recruited to college teams. They have to think differently, honestly, and that's what I also do for the guys that come to our ID camps. You know, like we say, guys, there is not FIU, there is not only Clemson, Pittsburgh. Like there is D2, there is JUCO, there is D3, and I promise you, man, that there are top D2s. Like good teams. There are very good JUCOs. Like it's not that it's a bad level, you know. If I was an American player, all right, I will do my best to try to get obviously the best offer, but also like I will not be ashamed to go to JUCO D3, D2. Also because we recruit from JUCO, D3, D2. So maybe you do 1-2 years at that level, and then you go to FIU or, you know.
Yeah. So interesting, because I wanted to talk to you about this from a coaching perspective. I know before you mentioned like you get 40 emails a day.
Yeah.
If I'm a player
Yeah.
and I want you to notice me
Yeah.
and I want to get recruited to FIU, what do I do?
Obviously, you send emails to all the teams you are interested. Okay, but the reality is like there are teams like us that we receive 40 emails a day, so probably we're not gonna respond to you. Or maybe if we see like you are all American or you know, this kind of profile, then we look at your email, we open the highlight video, and maybe we respond to you. But the thing is, obviously, emails go to ID camps. That's important. We, for example, we have an ID camp this summer. We invite 13 colleges, okay, so JUCO, D2, D3, D1, that they're gonna come and they're gonna see, you know, like players that they're not maybe ready for FIU, but they're perfect for D2.
Why do you not have an FIU specifically? Why do you have all the other schools?
Because no, we want to bring colleges and coaches, because if a player says, okay, I'm not good enough for FIU, how can I showcase myself? And that's a perfect way. Like, we thought that we need to give these guys more opportunities, not only FIU. You know, we wanna give these guys opportunities to go D2 and eventually do good, or D3 or JUCO, and then come to us after 1 or 2 years when they are more physically ready, when they're more tactically ready. You know, when they're older.
Yeah, it's so true, because I'm speaking to a lot of players, right? And they always say like, oh, Sam, I have like 10 schools I want to go to. It's always the same schools: FIU, Clemson, Duke, Wake Forest, UCLA.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, that's cool. You should have that goal. Like, that's awesome. But you don't need to go there your first year. You can go to junior college. You can go NCAA, Division 2. Like, there's no shame. Like Matteo was saying, it's not a stamp.
Yeah.
Like, you know. So when you're at an ID camp, right? Because there's a lot of like connotation about ID camps. Like, oh, I'm not going to go to that ID camp. It's $400 and it's a waste of time, right? But that's how are you going to get seen by the coach then? All right. But also, you need to figure out like what ID camp you actually want to go to, right? So if I'm going to the FIU ID camp and I want to get recruited to play for your school or any school, what tips do you have for a player before they're going to a camp to show up to the camp and to get noticed?
For sure, like being prepared mentally and physically, you know. So the months before the camp, you should do like a preparation, like physical preparation, you know, because honestly, like you don't improve, like you can improve your technical ability, but not in the last month before a camp. So what I will do is I will prepare myself to be that ready for that day, you know. And first of all, for me, like physically prepared, you know, man, because like technically wise, like you can work on that, but not like you have to work on that in like 1, 2, 3 years, you know, like it's a long process to improve technically. But one thing you can do quickly is prepare physically. Okay. So for sure, I will be ready physically. And
so someone listening to this might think you mean go to the gym, do loads of press ups, do loads of push ups. What do you mean by physically
no,
ready?
I mean running. I mean running. I think like there is a little bit of misconception in terms of like what's required in football. Like I think gym is very, very important. But like, for example, I was a midfielder, and I think like for me it was crucial to run. Like I had like, how do you say, endurance, you know, and stamina, you know, that was more important. Playing in Miami, it's humid, it's hot.
College soccer is a lot of transitions.
A lot of transition every time you go up and down. So for me as a player, I remember it was crucial to be ready, like running. So for example, 1 month before the starting of the season, I was not even touching the ball, man. Like I was doing 1 month of running because like I know how to play soccer, you know. That's something that.
But were you like that in Italy, or were you only like that when you came to the US?
No, I was more in the US, to be honest.
Why?
Because in Italy, like I was more in the developing process still, you know, like when I was 15, 16, I was still in here. I came, I was 22, 23. I was like already that player, you know. So for me, it was not anymore like
technical ability
because I knew that. I was more like, can I don't get injured? Can I run more than the other? And one thing I want to underline is don't get injured, because like in college soccer, like we have so many injuries. And if you can't like last more than your direct like rival in that position, you're going to play. Like if you can like be sustained 2-3 games a week, if you can sustain 2 travels a week and don't get hurt, you're already a step above.
How do I do that?
prevention, like I was doing, like 30-40 minutes before practice, you get ready for practice. So you get warm in the gym, you know, you go cyclette, like a bicycle, you go foam rolling, you go active stretching, you know, and then you jump on the field and you are ready. Like it's not like, oh, I start practice and I'm not ready, or like after practice, like see your trainer, go to the ice bath, do the boots to recover, you know.
For someone that's listening to this that might be a bit overwhelmed, they might be like, I'm just 16, 17. I don't know I don't have access to go use a bike. I don't know what I should be eating, drinking. I don't know how to get a massage. I don't know how to do an ice bath. I don't have access to that.
Yeah. No, there is a lot of things that, sorry if I interrupt you. There is a lot of things that you can do. Like, for example, bands. You can buy a band size like $2. You can pre-activate yourself with bands. Band work is very important. You can have a foam roller. It's like $5, you know, and start do foam roller before practice. Active stretching, all the mobility exercise. Those are free. Like you don't need nothing. Mm-hmm. And after, like, obviously, like if you don't have an ice bath, no problem. You can do a lot of stuff still without that.
And then, so for your injury specifically, how was like the recovery process at FIU? Like, were you talking to your doctors still in Italy, or we good, Abe?
Yes, keep it going. I'm just gonna switch because this switched by itself. So
okay.
Keep it going so I can adjust here.
Okay, no worries. So for your recovery process at FIU, were you speaking with your doctors back in Italy, or did you have like a specific team at FIU? Like,
at that point, I was just managing myself because my doctor in Italy, like they gave me all the information. Then, as I said, I grasped what he helped me, and I put together my own package. I was not even asking like the trainer at FIU. I was not even using him that much because I knew what to do by that time, you know. But a lot of players do have a point of contact in their countries, which is, I think it's important, you know. Or like if you trust and you have a good relationship with the trainer in your college, you can obviously use them as much as you can.
So for you talking to the athletic trainers when you're picking your team for like FIU, do you ask them these types of questions like who's healthy, who's fit?
100%. Every day we have a report from the athletic trainer. We talk to him every day. He's a very good trainer. We trust him. And we have constant relationship with him every single day. So yeah, for sure. Who's healthy? What's this guy report to you? What does he feel? What do you think he can do next practice? It's a constant relationship with the trainer, for sure.
How much do you trust what the trainer's saying versus the player? Because, for example, like let's say that I'm 50%, but we have a conference final and I want to play and I'm going to do everything, but the trainer is like, Matteo, this guy can't play. Like he's going to get hurt.
Yeah.
Who do you trust more? Like who are you talking to?
The trainer first. Yeah. The trainer for me has sometimes the guys are, you know, they want to play. Sometimes the guy, I think the trainer is always the first point of contact, and then also we talk to the player. But like if the trainer says he cannot play, he's not gonna play. You know, we trust him. We believe in him.
And then I wanted to also ask you about, you said before, like when you're doing the recruiting, because a lot of players are going to be listening to this like, oh, I would love to play at FIU. I don't know how I deal with Division 1 coaches because, like, obviously Division 1 is labelled as Division 1, but then you have like low Division 1, you have like you have like top Division 1 schools. You're talking about like transfer portal, international players, maybe you're working with agents. When you're going after a player, if they're not emailing you, how are you finding them?
So that's a good question because this year I was involved a lot in recruiting. So for me it was amazing. I love to do that. We have a lot of agents that we trust. So when we ask for a position specifically, we know these people are gonna give us only like top profiles, all right? So agents are important. That's the reality, you know. But also, you nowadays you have Instagram, man. Like honestly, like we are a very young staff. We go on Instagram. If a guy texts me on Instagram, maybe if it's a good profile, I take a look at him, you know. But yeah, mostly like agencies that we trust.
Interesting, because I think we need to clear up this topic because for an international player, I think if you want to come to States, 100% you need an agent, right? Like I came from England, you came from Italy, you have no idea how it works, nothing. You don't have any relationships, contacts. But for an American player, I've said before that you should have a mentor, not really an agent, because for an American coach, like for a Division 1 coach, for example, in my experience, Division One coaches are not really asking agents for American players, because you go to MLS Next Fest, you go to IMG Cup, you go to Generation Adidas Cup, all of these showcases. You have your own camp. It's quite easy for you to find Americans, and you have so many emails. Like you can find, you know who the best American player is, but you don't know if that guy in Italy wants to come to America. You don't know if that guy in England, Spain, France, Mexico. So like it's hard to find those players and agents. If you're working with an agent, like what do you look for in your agent? Because there's agents that like sell they're like, oh, this player is amazing. He turns up and he's fat, he's overweight, he sucks. There's agents there that are like got the best of the best. If an agent reaches out to you like, hey, Matteo, I've got a player that I'd like you to have a look at, what makes you trust that agent?
Past, if we already brought players from him, so if he brought us already good players, then we are more likely to have another deal with this agent, first of all. But also, like an example, we bring in 2 players from Italy, the same agent that texted me the very first time. That agent that said we work only with 7-8 players, talking to him a lot. We already signed a player, and we're about to sign maybe another one from him. So it's all about like knowing how these people work, and you can only know it by
over time.
On the time. So at the beginning, maybe you start and you bring a player, it's not that good. Okay, the agent they didn't give me a good player. Let's progress to another agent, But obviously, like we already kind of know. Because like obviously when they show us the profiles, you can see if the level is high or not. Obviously, like when they come here, then you have the confirm that agent deal with top players. But then like we have another agent from like he has a lot of players from Belgium. We signed already 2 of them, and he's only sending us like top profiles. We could see like their history of the players, the games, the high level. So we know like who kind of work with top profiles, who works with more numbers, and we want to work only with those agents that have top profiles, not like 300 players, low level,
Yeah. So FIU is like Florida International University. Is there a reason why you have so many internationals on your roster?
Yeah. Obviously, FIU has we have 60,000 students on campus and so many internationals, okay? But that's something that I want to clarify. We don't prefer international than Americans. We would love to have top American players. We do have American players. We would love to recruit players from South Florida, We have 2 players that played in academies here in South Florida, We're not because we get criticized sometimes that we don't recruit local or we don't recruit in America.
How would you deal with that criticism?
I disagree, and I personally go to all the games of MLS Next. I go to the games. The truth is, man, if you're not at a good level, you're not gonna be selected. So the level in MLS Next right now for FIU in South Florida, I think it's not as high as is required from a D1. So we prefer those players to go to a D2 and then maybe come to us,
So would you tell a player to go to a D2 school
100%.
And then you stay in contact with him?
Yeah, we want to do that. We want to do that.
Why do they need that? Why are they not ready at 18?
Because I go watch the games, and the games are not the level is not as good as...
I talk to a lot of Division 1 coaches, and they say they need players that have played men's football, because men's football is completely different to the U19, right? So a lot of the international players that come to the US, they've played men's football. Like you play in the English or the Italian or the Spanish or the German football pyramid when you're 16, 17. And it's a different ball game. Like academy football is nice, right? I say this a lot. Like you play out from the back, you lose 2-1, but it doesn't really matter. Like you're not really fighting for promotion or anything in your league. You're just playing, getting ready for like MLS Next Flex. And men's football is you get people that are going to stand on your toes, you get people that are going to pull your shirt, you get people that are going to waste time with the referee, like corners, set pieces,
100%.
Wasting time, managing the game, managing the result. And the youth, American players are just they just haven't had that experience because they haven't been exposed to that level. So if I'm an American player and I want to play at FIU, how do I get recruited? I have to go to JUCO, or if I'm good enough at that level, you'll sign me. But if I'm an American player, how do I play not just FIU? If I'm an American player, how do I play Division 1 college soccer?
Yeah, I mean, if you can get a experience with men, maybe in summer leagues or anywhere when you can play with the older men, that's so important, man. So important. Even from internationals, we prefer to recruit players that had already experience in fourth division, for example, in Italy, or fourth division in Germany, because like as you said, like when you play 1 or 2 years with men, it changes completely your level, man, because it's a different game. It's a different game. So it's not only American, it's also like Italians players when they are in the U19, they think they are top, they think, oh, I play for Atalanta. You go to fourth division the year after, you struggle to play.
Yeah.
I'm telling you.
Yeah.
I play for Atalanta. In fourth division, I struggled to play the first year. I was like, the level is so high.
Why did you struggle playing men's football?
It's a different game. It's a different game. You are required to do things that you're not required to do in U19. You know, you need to be savvy. You need to be more physically prepared. You know, you need to be more like, tactically prepared as well. Like it's all about. It's a mix of things that you kind of know when you are in it. You know, I would say savviness first. You know.
I totally agree. It's like what my so I played at UNH, and my coach was always he said in my senior speech, like, I was a savvy player. Like the ball would go out, you know, like you kick the ball just to waste time, or you're speaking to the referee like, hey, come on, that's his third foul, you need to give him a yellow card, like wasting time, taking the ball to the corner, like, I don't know, just little savvy things. I think that's so important. And how do I get to be savvy?
Just be exposed to people that are more savvy than you. Like playing with guys that are better than you in that aspect, you know, that's how you get better. So if you can like even like get exposed in, as I said, summer leagues game, like where you can go to play with older players, like UPSL, I don't know, something where you have possibility to play with players that are older than you, you know.
And then I know before you mentioned about like you go and watch like MLS Next games. Do you go and watch any ECNL games, any high school games, or just MLS Next?
More MLS Next, I have to be honest. More MLS Next, but if there is a good profile, he's gonna come to us. If there is a good guy, he's gonna come to our office one day. You know, it's not that we're not aware of American players. We probably are not aware of international players because they are so far. Maybe they don't have agent. They don't know how it works. But if there is a good American player, that's more likely that we're gonna have him in our list of players. You know.
So when you are looking at profiles, how does the process go from being put in touch with the player to signing the player? Are you watching full game? Are you flying out to Italy to watch his game? Is he flying over Italy to have flying over to Miami to have a visit? Are you discussing in your office like, we need this player? Like, from a player, how do you get from initial phone call to offer?
This is the process. First of all, highlight video, okay? But the highlight for me, I don't believe a lot in highlight videos because
everyone looks good.
Everyone looks good. You don't see really like how the player behaves when the ball is far, you know. All of these kind of things that for me it's so important. And so we watch the highlight video. I watch the highlight video to see like what's the characteristics of the player. Is he fast? Is he tall? Is he like a midfielder that wants to play the ball? Is he more a defensive midfielder? Is he a big center back? That's like the first impression, you know. But then I skip directly to the full game, and I need to watch at least 2 or 3 full game to understand if the player is good for us or not. You know.
And then are you speaking with the head coach saying, hey, you need to watch this, or like does he pass off the recruiting to you?
Yeah, no. Immediately when I see like. Already when I have a good profile from the highlights, I share it with the head coach. But then I progress my research with full games, you know.
And what are you looking for when speaking to a player too? Like, let's say that he's a top player, 10 out of 10. You want to sign him, you want to give him an offer, but then he gets on the phone call with you and he doesn't ask you any questions, or he doesn't care about this, or he seems arrogant, or like, what attitude are you looking for from a player?
Oh, that's so important for us. That's for FIU. We do Zoom calls a lot. We don't do phone calls. We want to see and speak, like see your face and see how your body language is as well. If there is any red flag, we stop. Any red flag means we try to see if you are a warrior, if you fit our style that is very like physically demanding. We press high. We wanna like players that are the right mentality, you know. If there is like any tough situation, they react in the right way, you know. So we try to like kind of challenge themselves during these Zoom calls, and we see how they respond to these challenges, you know. If they don't respond well, we don't continue. So the players that come to FIU, they pass like very strict process, you know. First, they are very good players. Then they also pass the human aspect, you know. We want the guy to be good guys. We don't want to be like. We don't want hassles in the team because we believe in the group. We do a tons of community service or like group events where we believe like we foster the chemistry of the team. You know, we believe in the group, in relationships. That's something that it's so important for us. So if the player we think is a selfish player, we don't think he can fit in our style of play or our style of human beings, you know, he's gonna be.
So
Even if he's a good player, he's not gonna come for you.
So if I'm calling you on my first phone call or first Zoom call, what do you need from me? Like, what are you looking for from me as a person?
Yeah, we look for availability. We look for quick response when we ask you information. And there is players that respond after 2 days. Red flag. You know, if there is a player that is on top of everything, we during the admission process, he's doing all these steps. We love that. We already know that guy is gonna be a good guy. We already know that guy is gonna be someone that if we ask him to do something, he's gonna follow us. You know, and you can see that. You know, you can see if a player is more responsive, like mature, or like more immature, doesn't know what to do, in terms of like, don't take responsibility for what his tasks, you know. For example, the admission process is kind of, there's a lot of things to do.
Yeah, it's annoying.
Long, annoying, and the players are required to do
But it's
stuff.
the same for everyone.
It's the same for everyone, but it's very different how the players approach this process. So right now, for example, we sign a player from Switzerland. He's a number 6. He's doing everything like, very like.
And that brings you confidence to bring him in.
I'm confident. I'm now I say that he's not only a good player, but you see he's on top of everything. He's like he's smart. He's fast.
He's proactive.
Proactive. He solves problems quickly because you know like there are problems every time during the admission process. You need a letter. You need another test for your English exam. You know, you're doing it quickly. How much time you're taking to do the exam? You know, like. And we see a big difference.
Yeah. So how I'm interested to know like what your recruiting cycle is, because for a lot of like the ACC schools, for example, they're recruiting heavily American players. So they're going and watching like players when they're 15, 16, 17 so that they can get them ready to offer June 15th when they turn 2026 or before the NCAA deadline. But for a school that's recruiting a lot of international players, also American players, but a lot of international players, are you waiting for like the transfer portal to open before you offer players? Are you like 2 years ahead? Have you got a list in your office that's like a database of like 100 players for this age, or are you like waiting for the transfer portal? Are you still recruiting players now? Like,
we don't wait for the transfer portal. We try to be like proactive and we schedule before, because the transfer portal open, for example, like beginning of May, but we already finished our roster for next year. So maybe now, for example, I'm flying to Italy in the summer to recruit players for 2026.
So you try and be ahead.
Yes, we try to be ahead. But we also look at the transfer portal. Like, it's not that we don't look for American players or transfer. We do. So yeah, I would say
just depends.
Depends.
Makes sense.
But we're not the kind of team that recruits 2 years ahead.
Because you think a lot of things can change. Injuries,
a lot of things can
grades,
change. Graduations, but also like players go pro. Players are not a good fit and they want to change, or we want to cut them. So I don't think it's for us. I don't think it's sustainable to do like recruit 2 years ahead, but maybe 1 year ahead. Yes. Like, so right now we are almost done. We miss one player for the fall, and then like we will start for 2026. You know.
Yeah. So I just wanted to finish on like your career. Obviously, you were a player. You came to the US. And then now you're into coaching. What was your motivate? Because you got your degree in psychology. What was your motivation then to switch over to coaching?
Yeah, so I had my first master in psychology, the second in business analytics. And as I said, before the podcast, I started coaching and doing data analytics for University of San Diego. And that was kind of my first experience as a college coach. I was already coaching like kids, but it's a different thing. So my motivation, I always thought to be a coach in the last 2-3 years, to be honest, because I always felt like I was an intelligent player since I was a kid, as I told you. I understand the game, so I felt like for my personality and my understanding of the game, I would be a very good coach. So that's what I aim to be, and I think I have the basis, to build from that, because I am Italian background. Now I have American knowledge, which like I learned a lot from my coaches in America, things that I never heard in Europe. So I think that was very helpful for me. I am not the type of guy that says, I'm only gonna be a Italian style coach. No, I bring the good from both and I mix it together. What
do you think are the fundamentals for being a coach? Like, why are you a good coach?
for me, relationships with the players is so underrated. Like my favorite coach is Ancelotti. Okay, for me, Ancelotti is the best, one of the best, because everyone in the roster loves him. Even the players that don't play, they said Carlo is good. You know, he invited me in his house to meet, and he always asks about my wife. He asked me, you know, sometimes we have so many things to do, and we kind of forget that we have to deal with humans. It's not numbers. We don't deal with number 10 or number 11. You deal with Nico, Matteo, Matthias. You know, that's who we deal with. Like people that have their own life, their own families, things going on. So for me, like being a great coach starts from like building relationship with the players and being like having like good feedback from the players on you. I think that's the first thing, more than tactics. And obviously I'm a big believer that you need to have the knowledge and like I love
Experience.
I love like teams that play good soccer. So I think for me being a good coach is like if your team play good soccer too, you know.
So I got two last questions for you. The first one is, if you're a player, if I'm a player listening to this and I'm thinking about I want to take my game to the next level, might be college, not just Division 1, might be Division 2, 3, JUCO, I might want to go pro. What's your advice for players that want to get better at soccer?
Keep working and do extra work. Really, it's just about like if you can outwork your competition. I met Coach Spolstra, in one of my kids' practice 2 days ago. And I said, Coach, can you give an advice to these guys? I said, make sure when you are done with coach work, you do extra work. And my kids are 10 years old. So for me, it's keep working on all the aspects, technical, physical, mental. You gotta, there is no secrets, man. The secret is you gotta work. And, you know, don't be okay with being good. You need to be excellent. You want to try to reach the excellence, you know?
And then for you, in your career, a lot of people might have listened to this podcast and they'd be like, wow, he really came over a lot of adversity. He got injured. He was playing in the national team. He didn't get offered. He didn't end up being a pro footballer. He went to the US. Now he's a coach. He's had a successful career. What are you most grateful for about your career in football?
I would say like I'm grateful that I had multiple opportunities, but I created those opportunities by never giving up, you know? So I'm grateful that I had the chance first to go to Atalanta, then didn't work out for me to go to Serie A. Then I had this second opportunity to go to Cesena, didn't work out because the club went bankrupt. But I kept working. Even in the tough moments, I kept repeating myself that another opportunity will come if I keep being on like the best version of myself every day, you know? And eventually I found like third opportunity, and that was the good one. That was the one where I had the most fun, because playing college soccer was the most fun years of my life. In soccer, I'm talking, other than obviously the experience in college and everything. But it's such a great experience. So I advise everyone to go to college soccer. You know, I think it's a great experience for your life. It's unique, and having the possibility to study, play for your school. There is nothing like this. There is nothing like this. It's really like unbelievable. And even for me that I played for Italian national team, Atalanta, coming to FIU, going to University of San Diego, like it was a dream. It was a dream, like to be there. And I enjoyed so much. And then we were lucky and good that we won. I won both FIU and San Diego trophies, and I went to NCAA. It's not always like that, but even just playing, it's amazing. It's amazing.
Perfect. So, Matteo, great episode, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you
I
so
really
much.
appreciate it. Guys, if you learned something, Matteo said his DMs are open, so don't just message him, hey, coach, here's my highlight video, recruit me, you know. Say what you learned, what you're thankful for. But yeah, Matteo, top episode, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Sam. Thank you so much for having me here today.
Appreciate it.